As some of you may know, Mario Kart Wii is my favorite Mario game of all time. Not only was it the first one I ever played, but it also has some of the best tracks the game series has ever seen. Except for some other retro tracks. I'm not a fan of a lot of these choices, which is why today, I decided to make a video all about my top 5 worst retro tracks in Mario Kart Wii. I hope you all enjoy! Number 5. DS Yoshi Falls. This track is short. Really short. In fact, too short. The premise of this track is that you're driving around waterfalls. Sometimes you can even travel through the currents. My problem with this track is that it doesn't do much with its premise. The waterfalls are just visual, and you can't interact with them. There are also barely any shortcuts. In fact, one of them is slower than taking the normal bridge route. This track does have a neat idea where there are 2 routes you can take. You can either drive across the bridge and get an item, or you can take the faster inside route and get no item. This would be a cool concept if they kept it through the entire track. Instead, the last turn places the items only on the inside route, making the outside route absolutely pointless. Number 4. Nintendo 64's Bowser's Castle. This is probably the most controversial opinion on this list. It's not a bad looking track, but it's also not the best looking track either. It's just too long with not a whole lot going on. The only enemies you have to look out for are thwomps. That's it. I guess there are also fire pillars near the end, but they don't even show up until lap 2. When it comes to shortcuts, there are only a few, with only one being any form of interesting. Number 3. GBA's Bowser's Castle 3. This track is bland, flat, and uninteresting. The only shortcuts in this level are unintentional glitch shortcuts. Well, I guess there is this tiny shortcut here, but that's it. The track layout is also very awkward since it only has 90-degree angles, and the ramps you're forced to trick off of are awkward to use. The only positive feature this track has is the amount of item boxes found here. This is one of the easiest tracks to pull the elusive first place shroom, but that also means shocks and blue shells appear way more often as well. Number 2. Nintendo 64's Sherbet Land. Have you ever wanted to race on a track where nearly the entire track plays like an ice level? Well, that's Nintendo 64's Sherbet Land for you. This track is constantly fighting against you thanks to the ice physics. There are plenty of sharp turns on this track, so hitting at least one wall in the race is inevitable. The penguins also get in the way and are placed in areas that make them way too easy to hit. Wanna do a shortcut? Well, here is one! I'm sorry, I meant to say the only one. And it's nearly impossible to do without a good off-roading vehicle. There are some alternate routes on this track, but they all end up being slower than the regular route, which sucks since one of them is harder to access than taking the regular one. And the worst retro track, in my opinion, in Mario Kart Wii is... Number 1. Nintendo 64's DK Jungle Parkway. Man, there's a lot of Nintendo 64 tracks on this list. Where do I start? First off, you start off by making an immediate right turn, followed by a tight 270-degree loop that's easy to trap, followed by a cannon that sends you into the worst turn in the game. Then you have a bunch of twisty-turny roads with weird banks that could have been used to make fun shortcuts, but instead are angled in such a way that make it nearly impossible. You'll just end up in the grass losing positions instead of gaining positions. Near the end of the track is a bridge that's way too thin and easy to trap. Right after is a cave with what would have been a good shortcut if it wasn't so awkward. To pull it off correctly, you need to turn into it super wide to the point where you're barely cutting anything off. Oh yeah, did I also mention the entire track is slippery? I rarely have any good races on this track, and whenever I have to race on it, I let out a large sigh. This track sucks. So those were my picks for my top 5 worst retro tracks in Mario Kart Wii. Do you agree with my list? Disagree? Think other tracks should have been in the list instead? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe even consider subscribing. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!